I'm the Vegary Executive Editor at India ID 360, and welcome to another episode of the Tech Tea Podcast. Joining me today is Sandesh Raut, CISO at LNT. In this episode, we'll diving into a topic that's more relevant than ever: disinformation, security, and strategic cyber defense. We'll explore how disinformation is impacting the cybersecurity space, the evolving role of CISO, and how AI is shaping the future of defense. Let's get started. Before that, thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you for inviting me for the podcast. I would
Yeah.
really like to share my insights, valuable insights, so that it could help others who will follow.
Okay. So before we start, can you, sir, tell us something about your professional journey? You have been at the forefront of cybersecurity strategy and risk management. What defining moments or decisions shaped your approach to leading in this space?
Yeah, so talking about my cybersecurity journey, yes, it's been like a roller coaster ride. I've been with conglomerates like Tata, and now L&T, and yes, in the leadership role, it has now been almost more than 6 years I've been working in the leadership role. So yes, cybersecurity strategy and risk management is very close to my heart. The reason because if you're talking about the cybersecurity space, yes, there are some things, crucial things, which really stand out, which led me to lead in this space as of for now. Okay, talking about that, yes, it was a risk-based mindset which was created early on. I thought that in my career, it was very important that just reacting to the cybersecurity incidents was not that much of a help when we talk about defense. So we thought that it is better that we should be proactive. Being proactive is much more easier to manifest the risks and mitigate them. Um, so what I did is I prioritized some frameworks, some built-in frameworks for focusing on threat modeling, for focusing on risk assessment and continuous monitoring. So these are the aspects which have led to a proactive risk-based mindset. Apart from this, if you ask me, yes, I believe that it is very important to build a culture of security across the organization in which you are leading the security space. The reason is because people are the weakest link. So it is always better that you should build a culture of security so that every employee, every individual which is working in the organization is well versed with what kind of security threats are possible, which can create a problem for the organization and also at an individual level. So I started to design awareness and training programs which could help the users at a very uh, which are the frontline users, which are the executives which work for the organization. And as we know that since human error can be avoided if we are aware, so this is another thing which actually defined my professional career a lot, building a culture of security. Then, if you ask me, yes, I also believe that until and unless we have a top to the bottom kind of a role structure where the top management of the organization is really aligned with the cybersecurity defenses that we are trying to bring in. Correct. So to strategize that, it was very crucial that we align with the business objectives. So that is why I started working with a lot of other leaders in other spaces to understand how the business grows, how the business works in terms of the threats or the data security risks which can come in terms of talking to other organizations when we are doing business with customers, when we are doing business with third parties, correct? In this sense, it was very essential that we actually closely align with the business goals and not only get in a kind of a business value proposition so that we can protect it, but we can have a strong kind of executive buy-in and better funding for the security initiatives if the top management is aligned with your business, is aligned with the cybersecurity strategy that is being brought up. And apart from this, if you ask me, yes, threat intelligence is something which has been very close to my heart. If you ask me about the cyber security space, you cannot do anything without having a threat intelligence, right? You need to understand what kind of threat scenarios are being built up across the globe, what kind of defense strategies are others also adopting. So it was very much necessary that there should be a cross industry collaboration. There should be a sharing of intelligence across various organization leaders and between me. So these are the few defining moments, I would say, which has led to my personal growth in the cyberspace, where I have this mindset of getting in all of these things together so that I could actually have a very good journey across my leadership tenure.
So that's really insightful. Those experiences clearly shaped a strong foundation for your leadership approach.
Yeah.
Now, this information is now growing part of the cyber threat landscape. How do you define this information security and why is it critical for organizations to address it?
Okay. So, to understand what is disinformation security, first we need to understand what is disinformation, right? So, any kind of false, misleading, or manipulated information which is being intentionally spread to disrupt the organization completely, correct? This kind of information spread by malicious or some people who do not have good kind of values towards organization, and they want to deceive the entire organization itself. That's disinformation. And disinformation security is about identifying, mitigating, and responding to such kind of impacts which disinformation campaigns uh, are being run by such kind of bad actors, correct? They damage the reputations, they erode the trust, and they influence the decision making of an organization. So that is basically disinformation security. And since we're talking about disinformation security, we should also understand why is it really important for any organization. So it is important for any organization because the disinformation that is being spread, the campaigns that are being run by the bad actors, they can actually disrupt the entire reputation and the brand trust value of an organization, correct? In turn, what it does is it actually disrupts your credibility. And if you are not proactive in protecting this, then obviously the public confidence in the company is lost. So that is one of the major impact that an organization can face because of disinformation. Secondly, it actually helps. Disinformation security actually helps us to safeguard decision making. So generally, what happens is we have a lot of communication channels, right, which may be internal to the organization, which are external to the public, correct? If you can take proper decisions within time, understanding that such kind of disinformation campaigns are being run against your organization, what it can do is it can lead to poor strategic or operational decisions. So you can actually do a proper kind of a decision making, and based on that, you can save your organization from such disinformation campaigns which are being done. Correct. And then apart from this, obviously, a lot of operational and financial risks also come up. Uh, because of the disinformation campaigns, your stock prices, your partner relationships, your supply chains that you're having, they all suffer a lot of financial and operational harm. So it is necessary that we mitigate such kind of operational and financial risk. That also is important for the organization. Other than this, if you ask me, you have to preserve your employee morale and the culture. So what happens is when such kind of disinformation campaigns start happening, the employees within your organization, they get a bit of you can say confused. They start having discussions within them. They panic a lot. So then to actually protect and preserve that is also very important, because you don't want that at the time where something like this is happening, your internal employees, who actually are the core foundation or the strong foundation of your organization, start panicking or start getting confused. They themselves start having a mistrust about the organization itself. So it will weaken your culture, it will weaken the productivity of the organization. Hence, it is very important to preserve the employee morale and the culture of the organization. And last but not the least, obviously, when such kind of disinformation campaign happens, a lot of cybersecurity risks in terms of the threats which are arising, in terms of the policies which have been built, all are being questioned, because it somewhere starts affecting the organization. And hence, the regulatory bodies, the compliance bodies, they kind of start recognizing that this is actually happening because you do not have some measures in place right now, correct, to protect against such kind of disinformation campaigns. So that is why that could result in legal scrutiny, it could result in penalties if you fail to manage it effectively. Hence, I think, in short, to summarize, disinformation security, it is very crucial extension of the risk management and cybersecurity which we have seen traditionally as of for now. And you require a kind of communication strategy, a good communication strategy. You require a very high profile threat intelligence. You require good controls and policies as a part of the organization. And combining all of this, including the technologies that you have deployed, I think it is very important that disinformation security should be taken very seriously now, as compared to the traditional security which we are doing, because it directly actually impacts the brand and the reputation value of the organization.
Okay, that's really great. You explained it really well. So you have mentioned in the end about the traditional cybersecurity. So I'm curious to know, and I am sure that my audience is also curious about it. So what are some of the biggest challenges business face today in identifying and mitigating disinformation threat, especially when it overlaps with traditional cybersecurity?
This is a very good question. I think because we're talking about disinformation security, a lot of people in the cyberspace itself are still not aware about what is disinformation threats, correct? What are those threats which are coming up? But yes, when we talk of the biggest challenges that we face while identifying and mitigating such kind of threats, one of it is obviously the detection. It's very complex. See, it's not a straightforward kind of a malware or an anti or a virus where you have an antivirus with some signature, or if you have some detection or response tool which identifies the behavior of the thing which is being rolled out. It is very context dependent, right? It is very much a human based kind of a campaign which is run against your organization with some malicious intent. So detection is always very complex. No automated tool can easily try to differentiate whether it's a genuine thing which is happening, whether this is a malicious disinformation which is being spread. Correct. So I think detection is one of the major things, which is one of the biggest challenge right now, which we are facing in terms of disinformation. Second is, since disinformation right now spreads very easily, we know that we use a lot of mediums right now, like social media, messaging applications. There are a lot of forums which have come up now. People have started using LinkedIn a lot. People have even for the organization campaigns, right? So you run organization campaigns through LinkedIn. You run organizational campaigns through a lot of events and everywhere, right? So there are internal communication platforms also which an organization has. So suppose even though through a public medium someone is trying to do this, other than this, someone can also get hold of your internal communication platforms and try to spread such kind of information from your internal communication platforms. Yes, this happens because they are very much well versed about hacking your systems, hacking your platforms, correct? The bad actors, and they would try to get into your internal communication platforms more. The reason is this, because having something rolled out through an internal communication platform will be very much disruptive, because someone will feel sitting outside that yes, it is coming from the organization's internal communication channel or an internal communication platform. So I think the the rapid spread which happens across using these multiple channels, which are public channels as well as internal channels, uh, to stop or to track its origin and from where it has started, correct? And from who is the actual propagator of this disinformation is another very big challenge. Other than this, if you ask me, I think another biggest challenge is there is a lot of gap which we see between communication teams between the cybersecurity team in an organization. So when you talk of support teams in an organization, right? You talk of finance, you talk of legal, HR team, you talk of the marketing team, correct? So there should be a lot of kind of communication integration between these teams. The reason is because if you integrate together, if you work together on a strategy, then such kind of campaigns, such kind of attacks of disinformation which is happening against the organization, you can actually sit together and understand from all aspects of the organization, that is from a financial aspect, from a legal aspect, from the marketing team can help you to actually connect with your customers, with connect with your third parties, with your stakeholders, that such kind of disinformation is being rolled out, correct? So I think why this is a problem is because we have this gap of communication between the other teams and the cybersecurity team. So I think this is another big challenge which is there. To end this biggest challenge scenario, I think one more thing that I wanted to share is uh, the overlapping of your technical and your social engineering attacks, correct? So what happens is disinformation, it doesn't only happen like someone is just rolling out some disinformation against you, correct? They also work with other kind of social engineering attacks. Like nowadays we are aware that deepfake is something which is being talked about a lot. People are using AI for deepfake kind of attacks where they are trying to um, uh, clone your voice. Actually, they're trying to clone your identity, correct? So deepfake kind of attacks are happening. Phishing attacks have been there from a long period of time. There are other cyber threats, correct? So what is happening is there is a lot of overlapping when we talk of disinformation working with these kind of social engineering attacks. So another challenge that is there is recognizing and defending against these combined tactics, because now the bad actors have now realized that only disinformation will not disrupt the organization, but doing it with a combination of such kind of social engineering attacks will make it more sophisticated kind of an attack. And then you should really have a multi-layered defense, correct, to protect you against such kind of attacks. So overall, if you ask me, yes, there are a lot of cybersecurity new frameworks which need to be built. There is a lot of cross disciplinary communication which should start happening between the teams within your organization, and a lot of new advanced tools should be actually analyzed and built in to make sure that you get real time technical signals about such kind of disinformation security. So I think these are the biggest challenges which I feel should be actually mitigated, or are we are facing in today's life to actually combat against such kind of disinformation threats.
Okay, so from a strategic planning perspective, how should CISOs rethink their security frameworks to include disinformation as a core risk?
So this is a very crucial strategic shift, I think. The threat landscape keeps on evolving. Whatever we must have seen back 10 years back, 5 years back, I think the threat landscape doesn't remain the same, correct? So to effectively, I think, incorporate disinformation as a part of your security frameworks, I think the CISO should think about their approach from several key dimensions. When we talk about these several key dimensions, I think one of it is you need to expand the definition of risk and the threat models. So if you say that it's just a public relationship problem, disinformation is just a public relationship problem, and then I don't feel that it's just a PR problem for you. Correct? It's a security risk, because end of the day, if your stock prices go down, correct, and the mistrust or the kind of panic things which start happening with your customers, it can disrupt your operations because people will stop using the product that you have in the market, correct? It can erode the trust between your customers. So I think CISOs need to integrate this information in their enterprise risk assessments now. What generally happens is when you follow some frameworks, you do a risk assessment, you do a detailed risk assessment. In the risk assessment, what do you consider mostly? You consider assets, you consider processes, correct? But you when you talk of disinformation, which is something which is very new now, I think then you need to integrate it with your enterprise risk assessments. You should have good incident response plans ready, correct, and which should be tested. So what happens is a lot of organizations have incident response plans, but they never test it. uh, and the day something like this happens, they are confused. Now, what is the next step? What should we do? So I think this is what is first. You should expand the risk and threat modeling towards disinformation now, along with what you've been doing in terms of the traditional cyber risks which you face. Second is, since it is not only a cybersecurity problem, obviously there are a lot of other governance team, which I also have spoken about in the previous two questions that you asked me. There is communication team, there is legal team, HR team, all of the executive leadership. It's a problem for everyone, correct? So what CISOs should now do is they should form a cross-functional governance structure. There should be a proper committee that should be built when something like this happens, which is a disinformation campaign. Then what should we do? What should the including representatives do from every team where you are doing a cross-functional governance, where you set up a cross-functional governance so that your detection response and your recovery efforts are in a coordinated manner, correct? Every team works together in a coordinated manner. You don't lose on time, because the more time you lose, the more you get disrupted because of this disinformation, correct? There, I think, yes, the CISO should start investing in the advanced detection and analytic tools. When we're talking about now the life being driven by AI tools, correct? The AI tools, what they can do for you as a CISO, the AI tools can monitor the social media for you. They can monitor the news, the forums, your internal communication channels. So what happens is, if any of such disinformation is being spread by a bad actor, you can have some early signs, right, of such disinformation campaigns which have started targeting your organization. So technically, if you talk, it's a tool which is helping you, but at the end of the day, it is helping you to detect it early, correct, and take some necessary actions towards it. Other than this, yes, security awareness should be prioritized. As I said, you should train your employees that, if at all levels, I would say, not only the employees would work as a frontline executives for you, but employees at all level in your organization should be trained to recognize that it is necessary to make sure that such kind of disinformation are being addressed properly, recognized properly. Because see, if you are a good organization and if you are a reputed organization, such kind of tactics will happen against you from bad actors, because that is what their intent is. But then, if there are combined kind of activities which are happening, like I spoke about, um, where we talk about phishing or or maybe social engineering attacks, which are being combined to do this kind of disinformation, then the training will help. So I think the CISO should prioritize security awareness now. Another important thing which the CISO should start doing is they should start aligning business continuity and crisis management together. This is because when you talk of disinformation, it is very much targeting your business continuity now. Uh, it incorporates scenarios like you should start incorporating scenarios like crisis simulation. So as I said, you should actually train yourself, your governance teams, that suppose there is something like this happening, what is your resilience planning? How do you plan to ensure that you respond under pressure, correct? Because at that point of time, all of the teams which are involved as a part of this governance structure will be pressurized as to the fast spread of this kind of disinformation. So I think aligning business continuity and crisis management together is another important thing which a CISO should now focus on when we talk of disinformation security. And last, I think we should measure now. and report such kind of risks. Because previously what used to happen is disinformation was not that much something which the bad actors used to target. Now with AI coming in and deepfake coming in, disinformation risks have increased. So I think you should also have some KPIs, some risk matrix around it to identify what kind of disinformation is being rolled out, what is the impact of it, correct? Whether that disinformation is not impacting your organization a lot, because you don't want all of the people to run also around it, correct, if it is not far having a far-fetching impact. So I think in a sense, CISOs should broaden their lens from a technical defense and include a lot of social, psychological dimensions in terms of security. In turn, what will happen is it will create a holistic approach. It will strengthen the organization's overall resilience. And obviously, when you are battling it out from a front line, I think the CISO is a warrior, and this will help the CISO. These kind of tactics, these kind of security kind of initiatives will help him to actually mitigate against such kind of disinformation.
That makes a lot of sense. So, you have worked extensively on aligning with global standards like ISO 27001. How do such frameworks help build a solid foundation for managing evolving threats like misinformation and deepfakes?
Correct. So, if you talk of ISO 27000, yes, it's a global standard. It's recognized across the globe. Why do CISOs or security leaders actually start with something like ISO? Is because it builds your information security management system. It brings a strong, adaptable foundation. You not only do the traditional cybersecurity kind of deployments to just mitigate the threats, but it also helps you to protect you against emerging challenges like misinformation, like the AI challenges of deep fake and all coming up, correct? So I think that is why ISO 27000 work one helps you to create a structured risk management process, because every organization needs a structured risk management process. If you don't understand what kind of risks are there in your organization, whether those are repeatable risks or not, and whether there's a proper treatment process in place to make sure that these risks are being mitigated within time. I think it is very important to have this, and ISO 27001 helps you to give this kind of structured risk management process. Second is ISO 27001 talks of a lot of security controls, correct? These controls are based on people, process, and technology. So when you talk about these controls, it includes communication security, it includes access management, it includes your incident management, correct? And then when these kind of things are in place, then it is very easy to counter disinformation campaigns, which also leverage social engineering or impersonation techniques. So the framework actually helps you to have a comprehensive control environment as well. It focuses on continuous improvement, because if you talk about the ISO 27001, right? What does it promote? It promotes PDCA. What do you say? What is a PDCA cycle? It's plan, do, check, and act. Correct. So it encourages the organization that you continuously monitor your security posture. You learn from the incidents which are happening. Correct. Uh, you improvise your controls according to those incidents, whether there is some failure that is there. So this agility which ISO 27001 brings in, it actually helps you to defend against the fast evolving threats. It makes you very much well versed in terms of your vigilance and your adaptation. uh, it also increases your incident response and communication protocols, because the framework focuses on incident detection, it focuses on the reporting. Um, there are third parties and supply chains which are working with you. So when you talk of ISO 27001, it talks about supplier chain management security, correct? So what happens is it helps us to mitigate risks from originating from external sources as well. What happens is when you're working with a third party, correct? You are well aware that your controls and your strategy is well built, correct? But when your data is being shared across to some third party, or there are some supply chain management aspects which are there in terms of the platforms that you are utilizing for doing any kind of business activities, correct? We are not aware whether those are also equally protected. So it can still create a problem for your organization is if those third parties or those supply chain management platforms get affected. So ISO 27001 gives you a proper kind of a framework which helps you to mitigate against risks which are originating from such kind of third parties as well. And I think your governance and accountability also increases because what happens is you have clear roles and responsibilities defined, correct? There is accountability for information security. When you talk about the controls which are there, when you talk about the policies that you're bringing in because of ISO 27001. So it creates a very good governance structure. People become accountable for defining the security strategies, for making sure that you are executing the security strategies on time, correct? So this is another important aspect. So I think if you talk about, I think to sum it up, global standards like ISO 27001, yes, it's provides a disciplined, holistic approach. It equips an organization to adapt to existing controls, to govern new threats, obviously, which may include misinformation and deepfakes. Correct. So they don't eliminate the risk, but they create a resilient foundation. So I would say that ISO 27001 may look like a good old framework which has been used in the industry, but yes, with these kind of disciplinary framework, I think it will be easier for us to also kind of mitigate against misinformations uh, or the disinformations which are being rolled out.
Absolutely. Standards like ISO 27001 give a strong foundation. But as you said, they need to evolve with emerging threats. How
Yes.
can businesses balance innovation and speed while maintaining control over information integrity, especially in high risk sectors?
Okay. So I think this is difficult. This is difficult for organizations. You need to balance the innovation and the speed. Yes. Uh, how we can do that? Yes. One is you can do a shift left approach. Now, this is a very technical term. Shift left approach. What it does is you integrate security and your data integrity checks together right from the designing phase. What happens is what generally people do or organizations do. They first develop their product. They do not think about security earlier in the innovation life cycle. And then once the product is built, once it is being rolled out to the public, then we start thinking about security. So I think that is a problem because when you talk about information integrity in high risk sectors, correct? If you don't have a shift left approach, then it leads you to actually costly affairs because at a later stage you will be actually working on security, correct? So I think embedding security early in the innovation life cycle, this is one thing which should be done. uh, I think automation and AI now are very much some important part of our life. So I think one should start leveraging automation and AI for monitoring. I think continuous monitoring, as I spoke earlier as well, is very important. So I think if there are any data flows, communications which are happening, correct, and the user behavior, if you want to detect the anomalies, if you want to detect the integrity breaches which are happening quickly, I think you should start leveraging and you should start deploying AI-driven tools. It will speed up the detection and the response process. So your manual overhead kind of reduces. Um, you should start promoting a security first culture among the innovators. You should have clear policies defined. You should have leadership support from your organization so that it's a shared ownership for having a secure innovation. Um, you should engage in continuous risk assessment and adaptations. You should start collaborating across teams and stakeholders, as I earlier also spoke. So ultimately, I think the key is treating information integrity not as a barrier to information, but as a foundation that will enable trustworthy growth, especially where stakes are high. And obviously, it will bring in sustainability.
Okay. So striking that balance is tough, especially in fast-moving industries. Can you share a real-world example where proactive disinformation detection or mitigation had a direct impact on business continuity or reputation?
Yeah, certainly. So, see, we come across a lot of articles. We go through a lot of communication channels where we understand what kind of threats are being rolled out across the globe. So, I have a case study which I had gone through recently. I think if we, I won't name the organization, but it's a global financial institution, correct? So, what happens is there is a global major bank and it became target of a coordinated disinformation. So what happened is the customer trust and the stock price collapsed. That is what happened. The attackers, they spread some false rumors about social media, through social media financial forums, and they said that the bank was insolvent, correct, and they were under investigation for fraud. So I think you must have also recently heard something like this, right? And we being direct customers of any bank will be very much worried about something like this is happening. There is a news around which says that the bank has there is some fraud which has happened in the bank and it is being investigated, and all of the people who are invested in the bank will start panicking, correct? So I think when I was going through such kind of a real world example, correct? Why proactive disinformation detection or mitigation was good enough to help that particular institution to come out of such a big thing was because they had invested in an AI powered monitoring platform, correct? That AI monitoring platform used to scan the social media, the news outlets, the discussion forums, where such kind of disinformation, such kind of threats related to their company was being rolled out. So, what happened because of this proactive detection? They got early warnings. They got flagged that such kind of campaign is being run against your bank, correct? And then they started with their mitigation plan. So, as I said, you should have a good crisis communication in place, right? To actually detect such kind of disinformation threats, to mitigate such kind of disinformation threats. So they already had a crisis response team, which included all of their teams together, which was cybersecurity, legal, their investor relations, their communications team. They immediately got activated. There was some transparent communications that started being issued through their official channels. The PR team helped them to do that, correct? The false nature of the rumors and the bank's financial health, which was being spread, was clarified. The bank closely then started working with social media platforms, obviously, because such a huge institution. So they also reached out to social media platforms. They started flagging that these are fraudulent things which are being rolled out against our organization, correct? And then the social media platforms were entitled to remove or flag such kind of content which is being shared, right? So I think the internal communication was strong. Um, the platforms that they used were very transparent. It helped them to mitigate against it. Sorry. Other than this, I think as I spoke about the internal communications, it ensured that the employees were well informed. So the mistrust within the employees did not happen, and the direct impact which was to be created didn't happen.
So that's a powerful example. Last but not the least, looking forward, what role do you see AI and automation playing in countering disinformation, and how should security leaders prepare for what's next?
So I think AI and automation, they're going to be game changers. Yes, to defend against disinformation. How I see the roles evolving and what security leaders should keep in mind. Yes, one is AI can shift through vast amount of data, right? You know that they can shift through social media platforms, they can shift through internal channels way faster than what humans do. because they use NLP, natural language processing, and machine learning. So they can, because machine learning is a subset of AI. So they can identify patterns, they can identify fake accounts, they can identify coordinated campaigns, false narratives in near real time. Right? When we say near real time, obviously because something like this is happening. So at least it is giving you some kind of detection and analysis towards it. Uh, you talk of deepfake and AI generated content. Uh, your AI driven tools will help you to authenticate videos, images, audios which are being rolled out, correct? So manipulated media can be easily identified. The response and the containment will be automated because it will trigger immediate containment actions. It will alert the stakeholders. Uh, your systems which are being used to actually roll out such kind of disinformations, if they are being targeted, can be quarantined very effectively. The fact checks can be done. I think it will overall reduce the response time significantly because AI tools also provide personalized threat intelligence. So across industries, across geographies, across even individual organizations, correct? What is happening in terms of the disinformation campaign? It can give you a risk profile towards it. It can be more targeted, obviously, but still some mitigation strategies can be actually decided because you are identifying it from the personalized threat intelligence that these tools are bringing in, correct? And obviously, AI tools, they have predictive models. They have the prediction that there is some potential disinformation attack happening. So how they can do that? They can analyze some historical data, right, and some emerging trends which are happening. So I think this is what the role of AI and automation will do in countering disinformation. And if you ask me how security leaders should prepare, yes, I have answered this earlier as well. They should start investing in AI-enabled tools and expertise. They should start having cross-disciplinary collaborations across the leadership level, across the different teams. Uh, the AI use should be ethical, right? You should start prioritizing ethical AI use. So you should have good ethically avoiding pitfalls. You should start respecting privacy of people. You should not just use AI unethically, correct? And there should be some flexible and adaptive frameworks which should now come up. So we spoke about ISO 27001, but how can you club it with other frameworks and create an adaptive framework, a flexible framework of different policies, of different controls and the incident response plans so that you keep pace with new threats and AI capabilities. You should start engaging in industry and government partnerships as well if you are an organization which impacts a lot of people across the nation or across the globe. So I think the bottom line is AI and automation, they won't replace the human judgment somewhere, but they will amplify, they will help security leaders more from a proactive manner rather than being a reactive firefighter. And obviously, they it will bring in some strategic defense with this battle which we are facing in terms of disinformation.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering questions. We'll wrap it up here. A big thank you to Mr. Sandesh CISO at LNT for breaking down how disinformation impacts security and how leaders can prepare. If you enjoyed this conversation, do follow and share the Tech Tea podcast. I'm Divya Giri, Executive Editor at India IT 360. Thanks for listening and see you next time.